Discovery and Deep Understanding of Judaism and Zionism with Professor Israel SHAHAK in his book Jewish History, Jewish Religion, The Weight of 3,000 Years. Chapter 2, Prejudice and Prevarication, following. However, once the modern state had come into existence, the Jewish community lost its powers to punish or intimidate the individual Jew. The bonds of one of the most closed of closed societies, one of the most totalitarian societies in the whole history of mankind, were snapped. This act of liberation came mostly from outside, although there were some Jews who helped it from within. These were at first very few. This form of liberation had very grave consequences for the future. Just as in the case of Germany, according to the masterly analysis of A.J.P. Taylor, it was easy to ally the cause of reaction with patriotism, because in actual fact individual rights and equality before the law were brought into Germany by the armies of the French Revolution and of Napoleon, and one could brand liberty as un-German, exactly as it turned out to be very easy among the Jews, particularly in Israel, to mount a very effective attack against all the notions and ideals of humanism and the rule of law, not to say democracy, as something un-Jewish or anti-Jewish, as indeed they are in a historical sense, and as principles which may be used in the Jewish interest, but which have no validity against the Jewish interest. For example, when Arabs invoke these same principles. This has also led, again just as in Germany and other nations of Mitteleuropa, to a deceitful, sentimental and ultra-romantic Jewish historiography from which all inconvenient facts have been expunged. So one will not find in Hannah Arendt's voluminous writings, whether on totalitarianism or on Jews or on both, the smallest hint as to what Jewish society in Germany was really like in the 18th century. Burning of books, persecution of writers, disputes about the magic powers of amulets, bans on the most elementary non-Jewish education, such as the teaching of correct German, or indeed German written in the Latin alphabet. Note: before the end of the 18th century, German Jews were allowed by their rabbis to write German in Hebrew letters only, on pain of being excommunicated, flogged, etc. End of note. Nor can one find in the numerous English language Jewish histories the elementary facts about the attitude of Jewish mysticism, so fashionable at present in certain quarters, to non-Jews that they are considered to be literally limbs of Satan, and that the few non-satanic individuals among them, that is, those who convert to Judaism, are in reality Jewish souls who got lost when Satan violated the Holy Lady, Shekhinah or Matronit, one of the female components of the Godhead, sister and wife of the younger male god according to the Kabbalah in her heavenly abode. The great authorities such as Gershom Scholem have lent their authority to a system of deceptions in all the sensitive areas, the more popular ones being the most dishonest and misleading. But the social consequences of this process of liberalization was that, for the first time since about AD 200, a Jew could be free to do what he liked within the bounds of his country's civil law without having to pay for his freedom by converting to another religion. Note, when, by a deal between the Roman Empire and the Jewish leaders, the dynasty of the Nesi'im, all the Jews in the empire were subjected to the fiscal and disciplinary authority of these leaders and their rabbinical courts, who, for their part, undertook to keep order among the Jews. End of note. The freedom to learn and read books in modern languages. The freedom to learn and read, the freedom to read and write books in Hebrew, not approved by the rabbis, as any Hebrew or Yiddish book previously had to be, the freedom to eat non-kosher food, the freedom to ignore the numerous absurd taboos regulating sexual life, even the freedom to think, for forbidden thoughts are among the most serious sins. All these were granted to the Jews of Europe, and subsequently of other countries, by modern or even absolutist European regimes, although the latter were at the same time anti-Semitic and oppressive. Nicholas I of Russia was a notorious anti-Semite and issued many laws against the Jews of his state. But he also strengthened the forces of law and order in Russia, not only the secret police, but also the regular police and the gendarmerie, with the consequence that it became difficult to murder Jews on the order of their rabbis, whereas in pre-1795 Poland it had been quite easy. Official Jewish history condemns him on both counts. For example, in the late 1830s, a holy rabbi, tzaddik, in a small Jewish town in the Ukraine ordered the murder of a heretic by throwing him into the boiling water of the town bath, and contemporary Jewish sources note with astonishment and horror that bribery was no longer effective and that not only the actual perpetrators but also the holy man were severely punished. The Metternich regime of pre-1848 Austria was notoriously reactionary and quite unfriendly to Jews, but it did not allow people, even liberal Jewish rabbis, to be poisoned. During 1848, when the regime's power was temporarily weakened, the first thing the leaders of the Jewish community in the Galician city of Lemberg, now Lvov, did with their newly regained freedom was to poison the liberal rabbi of the city, whom the tiny non-Orthodox Jewish group in the city had imported from Germany. One of his greatest heresies, by the way, was the advocacy, an actual performance of the bar mitzvah ceremony, which had recently been invented.